so anyway, so we go down there and play around a golf and yada yada yada. Well, I go back to my hotel, and by the time I go back to my hotel, the cops are looking for me, and I didn't know what was going on, but he had arranged it. I didn't know any of this till much later, but he had a big insurance policy on the wife, and so he got her for that reason, and I was just the fall guy.
Wow.
And the police for pretty much 500 pesos, the police will go after anybody they want over there. It's a whole different, it's but anyway, it's not like in the States we have this thing called ox and razor, which basically that means the simplest explanation is the truth. Well, that just doesn't apply in Mexico because things are so different.
Yeah,
Not that,
when you're talking about Mexico, because I come from Venezuela, I can understand
yeah,
because in Mexico it's very famous what they call la mordida. But
yeah,
in Venezuela they call it several they call it coima. That is the same thing. You give 500 pesos and they can do anything because of that. Yes.
yeah, it is. It does work that way. So, yeah, and so anyway, so that one night, oh my gosh, by the time I got back to the hotel, the police were waiting for me and come with us. We know you did it. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. They said I got in a fight. They didn't say anything about a homicide or anything. They're like, oh well, if you're innocent, you'll prove it in court. And I didn't know better, but that wasn't the case at all. It was like by the time they put you in the back of the squad car, you're already guilty. That was your trial. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
So they put it in a jail. And what happened
yeah.
after that when
Okay,
you arrived?
so then so they had me in county and they were kind of tell you the truth at that point they were waterboarding me asking me questions about if I how I killed her or whatever and I said I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And that went on. I mean, they were careful not to hit me in the face because people would see it. But they would hit me in the stomach and stuff like that, but nothing so bad it would leave a lot of marks and stuff like that, but also waterboarding. But I hadn't done it, so I wasn't confessing on that point. And they had me in county. I'm not even sure. I kind of lost track of days, but I think it was more than 72 hours. But at some point, God, let me think here. I think it was January 22nd, 2010. That's when they took me the big to Los Cruces in Acapulco, the Mexican prison.
So
And
you were transferred to a
yeah,
national prison.
yeah.
How many people were in that prison?
When I got there were about 3,000.
And were criminals, truly
Oh yeah,
criminals.
yeah.
And you were with all of them, or you were in
Yes,
yes?
yes. Well, when I first got there, they have something called 72 hours. And for 72 hours, you're supposed to kind of put in this little bit of isolation. So some of the other ones can't get to you and influence you or torture you or whatever. So for about the first well, and actually for me, it was 48 hours. After that, they put me in maximum security.
And they didn't consider that you were American, so even
No.
that they didn't take care of that. You were treated like a normal criminal.
Oh yeah, no, no. And that's the other thing is that when I was arrested, I had no translator. I had nobody from the embassy. I had no assistance. They just treated me just like, just another person or criminal, which, what, I mean, I understand it on the detention, but they should have at least read me my rights, at least
Correct.
had a interpreter, and the whole thing of how I was arrested was just a mess, was a circus.
And you mentioned the embassy. The embassy it could intervene in your case, right?
Yeah, well, and the embassy, I gotta kind of be careful on this one, but there was one guy from the embassy that it seemed like he did not do his job. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about the entire embassy, but it seems like it's kind of like a corrupt cop. Even a corrupt cop should have somebody above him that checks to make sure he's doing his job. And even that, still there's like the prosecutor, right? So the prosecutor, like if I'm a corrupt cop and you're my boss, you're going to go, well, where's the weapon? Where's the gun? Where's the this? Where's the that? And even if not, the prosecutor still has to have something. If they have no body, no weapon, no nothing, how are they going to continue? They have to
Yeah.
say, wait, stop. And in this, the embassy side, it's like that one guy had nobody above him saying, wait a minute, this is wrong. Why are we doing it this way? Why don't we protect him? Why don't we, make sure his rights aren't violated, and nobody did that.
What about access to a lawyer? Do you have a lawyer?
Oh yeah, well, you know how it is. Yeah, I would have one lawyer for a year. After that, they wouldn't do anything, and I'd fire them and get another lawyer. That was.
Yeah. I'm hearing the story. I'm laughing because we went through that situation
I
when I
know,
was.
I know. Yeah,
Everybody
that's.
goes. The others that are hearing this, that maybe you're not familiar with it, but that James was a wrongfully detained in Mexico. I was wrongfully detained in Venezuela, and we know today a lot of people have been wrongfully detained in a lot of countries. And when you talk with them, always is the same. Always are false accusations. The lawyers are clown that they don't do nothing. So sometimes they put a public defender. Tell me what is a public defender?
Oh,
So,
we used to call them the public pretender because they just pretend to be lawyers. Yeah, no, yeah, that they would do the bare minimum. That they would sign things that weren't to your benefit without you even knowing about it. We had to at least have a private. Always had to have a private. And then the funny thing is, they always start off with, "It's going to cost this much to read your file," and then you give them a copy of the file, but they still want money for just anything they can think of. They want money for.
how was the food? How was your
Oh,
feeding?
the food was really bad. The food was really bad. Yeah, it was. I mean, if you got beans and rice, that was a good day, and the lentils, that was a good day. But basically everything else was terrible. People, it's funny, it's almost like a glass economy of like a fishbowl.
Mhm.
Because what would happen was the inmates would be making bags, purses, and hammocks, and that was the money that they would use to buy things, buy snacks, buy cards, or
But you could buy inside snacks. And they
yeah,
were
you could,
okay.
yeah, but you had to have money. Without money, nothing works
Yeah.
without money.
So you have to be doing purses and stuff.
Yeah,
But
anything, yeah. The
same thing.
leather wallets, yeah, all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
keep you busy.
remember, James, I remember in our case when we were in Venezuela, there was a, a Wayu Indian. The Wayu is a tribe of Venezuela. So these guys were there for, I don't remember what case was that, but they were very good doing the purse. And they did it with the bags, the
Yeah,
bags. They I don't know how they did it, but it got beautiful.
yeah.
So every time somebody was getting a visit, these guys were doing
Hmm.
purses and doing stuff, and they were
Oh yeah.
making money.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
always,
it.
I
That's
always
it.
was laughing with them, but I said, hey, when you go out, the guy was called Danilo. Danilo, when you go out, maybe we put a web page and you sell your purses and
Yeah.
one person $5. Wow, it would be a lot of money for you. Yeah,
Yeah, you can eat a lot of top ramen for $5. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so but you didn't stay there. You were transferred to another prison, correct?
No, Los Cruces I was in the whole time until I was released.
Okay, you stayed at 13 years there.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
In the same place, or you were
yeah, in
transferred
the
to?
same prison. Well, I mean, I moved my cell. My cell, they would change me out, move me around a bit. I think I probably had three or four. I don't know, but they moved me around multiple times. But I was always in Los Cruces,
Okay,
Acapulco.
okay. I thought you were transferred because this is another pity that there are people they're transferred to one, two, or three prisons. So what about your family? How was your family by that
Oh,
time?
I mean, I think to tell you the truth, I think my dad passed early because of all the stress. To tell you the truth, I mean, it was so painful for my family. And it was real hard to communicate. It was hard to get a message out. If you got to call, sometimes you might only get to call them once a week. It's just very difficult. And then you got to be careful what you say. Everybody's listening to the phone, so you can't
Yeah,
really tell them what's going on, or you got to use codes kind of thing. It's
yeah, same,
yeah,
same thing, same thing.
yeah.
Where I was using code, and when we begin to smuggle letters, also we use code. And did you have opportunity that they visit you when you were there? Somebody visit you?
Oh, well, my family came. I think I was locked up for about 6 months, and they came the first time. Um, and that was another was they had a riot when my family was there and had to get them out. So I got kind of worried about that too. I was like, I don't want my family to get in here, and then they have a riot, and then something happens and they die in the prison.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
kind of like high risk of try to
Did you
get them
have
to
a
help.
riot? You were there when there was riots?
Oh yeah, yeah. We probably at least 6 or 7 riots. It seems like almost one a year. You know,
Uh,
not quite, but almost. Yeah.
when we were was only one riot, but was a disaster. They destroyed everything. I
Oh yeah.
remember in our case that the because now by that time we were kind of a political selecting
Yeah.
prisoners, so they have us separated. So they knew there had been the riot, and there were going to come some special forces to stop the riot. So they took us out. They put us out, and this guy came in and they destroyed everything,
Oh
because
yeah.
they had to stop the riot. It's terrible. So, okay, how you cope, how you did during all this year, what was the mindset that made you survive all that time? What you did? How was your day when you decided to say, I need to come back?
Well, I was always it was always kind of like a survival thing. But one story I heard about, it's kind of funny, but there was a donkey that fell in a well, and the village, they tried for days to get the donkey out. They couldn't get the donkey out. So they said, you know what? Just to put it out of its misery, we're going to bury the donkey. So they poured dirt on the donkey. And what would happen was the donkey, when they poured the dirt on him, he would just shake it off and then he'd pat it down. And he'd shake it off and he'd pat it down. But what happened was, slowly over time, the donkey started coming up and up and up and up. So they just kept pouring dirt on him, and he just shook it off, and tamped it down, tamped it down. And I heard that story, and it's kind of like, I actually kind of want to trademark this, but it's too stupid to quit, and sometimes you just have to be too stupid to quit. And that's kind of been my motto. And when I was in there, I was really focused on working out and put my mind in a better place, and then just trying to find the lawyers that'll do the job that we want them to do, to fight the fact that there was no evidence in my case, and they just wanted to close the case, but they didn't want to fight the fact that there was no evidence in the case.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that was a lot of work as well. And they kept wanting to take the easy road, and it wasn't about the easy road, it was about the right road. And then kind of a little bit of a miracle in that we found, a friend of the family found Jonathan Franks. And we'll see, another one miracle also was, it also
How
took me
you got
getting.
connected? Tell that story. How you got connected? The audience that are hearing this, let me put this in context. Jonathan Frank is a guy that he has a company called Lucid Strategies, I believe is the name. But he's a guy that he take care of hostages that are all over the world. So he's very effective. But he became also that one of the mastermind of the creation of the Bring Our Family Home campaign that today take care of hostage family. So that guy has years working in that area, and somehow James is gonna say how he got connected to Jonathan. So
Okay, so yeah, it was kind of a friend of the family reached out to him, and then we basically arranged for him to come see me. The funny thing about that one was, he thought we were going to kidnap him. And like, we're not gonna, we were never going to kidnap him. We just wanted him to see the evidence against me, that they really didn't have any, and see if he could do something to move my case along. And
so he flew to Mexico. He flew to Mexico.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, when you met with him, what was his first reaction?
Like, he couldn't believe it. He's like, no, there's more than that. And I'm like, no, there isn't. And like, look, and so that was another. We had to get him a copy of the file. He wanted it in English, so we had to translate that as well. And I was gonna backtrack if possible. When I was still kind of working on my mindset, at some point I got connected with a guy, a Jehovah Witness. His name's Don Hill. I hope he doesn't mind. I'm sharing that is his real name. But we started studying the Bible, and in the process of that, I got him to get me a copy of the file. And none of this would have been possible without that as well. And that's what it took, a whole team. It wasn't one person, and I didn't work miracles by myself. I had a whole team. But by him getting the file, then that made it so that when Jonathan Franks finally came to see me, we could get him a copy of the file, and then we just had to have it translated. So it's, it's kind of like God, Jehovah, or whatever you believe in. He was in there behind the scenes as well. We can't always see what they're doing, but they're there.
Yeah, yeah. How so you're talking that about that. So at, at, at what point your faith begin to be part of this that made you keep going?
Probably somewhere once I started studying with Don Hill, and he would come once a week to visit me, and he'd bring me books, and it was also I could talk to another person that wasn't inside dealing with the politics and all the stuff that happens behind bars. And
Okay.
sometimes it's good to have a friend that you're not talking about that stuff with, that you just talk about, like how are the 49ers doing, or how's Seattle doing, that kind of stuff. Just something to talk and get your mind off of what's going on.
Mhm. So now you're in this space. Now Jonathan has come. What happened after Jonathan went there?
Oh, well, a lot of things started happening at that point. He came to see me a few times by himself, and then I guess he ran into a few snags. By the time at that point, he's got Governor Richardson involved.
Oh, Richardson got involved. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Did Richardson visit you?
no, not until I didn't see him until after I was out.
Okay. What about Mickey? Mickey Berman.
Yeah, yeah. And Mickey got involved the same way, but I saw one of the God, I can't even one of the helpers came to see me inside like once or twice, but that was it. I just saw him briefly for a couple times.
To the audience, let me put in context because we're talking here because we know the people that Governor Richardson is Bill Richardson. Bill Richardson was a former governor of New Mexico, and he also was the energy secretary, and he was also a human rights ambassador in the UN. So he was a high-ranked officer that he retired, and he founded a foundation called the Richardson Center. And his manager is a guy called Mickey Berman. Mickey is original from Israel. He's from Israel, but he became American. And Governor Richardson and Mickey both during years were working what they call the fringy diplomacy. Because the people that are hearing this that maybe are not familiar, this type of situation that James went or I went, that is what is called the hostage or wrongfully detained, are like that, what we say, that you are traveling a country and something bad happens and you're accused, falsely accused, and sometimes they do sham trials, and you get caught in the middle of the situation. And sometimes to bring the people back is so difficult because I had to intervene in sometimes the government. And these institutions that like a Richardson Center or Jonathan Frank, they do that job that normally the official government, they don't do it because they, that diplomacy.
Yeah.
So they do like that behind the scene work. And they are very effective because a lot of people have come back that way. So now you're having this contact. What happened next?
So, well, shortly after the governor got involved, I was able to come home and hug my mom. And another
How
miracle.
long it take it? How long it take it when?
Oh, shoot, I think probably no more than about a month,
Oh
once he
wow.
was involved. But see, I mean, by then also my case was, we were trying to close, but you know how the courts are, they just kept trying to push it off. But we were
Mhm.
trying to close the case. So it just happened at the right time. It was a little bit of a magic, little bit of a miracle, but everything kind of came together at the right time and place. And the other thing that's kind of amazing is that's also like right after my dad passed, and then everything just kind of went all together.
Your father didn't see you free,
No,
unfortunately.
no, he
Well,
passed by the time I got
well,
back.
this is something I'm going to say something here to the audience that's hearing this, because when I was in my captivity, I had the opportunity to read the book "Men in Search of a Meaning" of Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl, in his book, he mentioned The one of the tragedy that happened when the people went out from the concentration camp in the World War II was that when they went out, they found out that many of their family members had passed, and you didn't know it. So your reality now is totally different. It happened to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I had my mother-in-law and my aunt that was like my mother, both passed maybe 1 year before I was released, and my family never told me that nothing, because they don't want to hurt
Yeah.
you. They
Yeah.
don't want to hurt you. But when you get out and you realize that, for example, in your case, that your dad passed is terrible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the moment that you were released. How was that?
Oh, it was amazing. Honestly, I couldn't even believe it. I wanted to like just kiss the ground. I couldn't believe, I didn't think, I didn't know. There were times I always believed I'd get out, but until it happened, I almost couldn't believe 100%, because you get your heart broke too many times of thinking you're going to make it
Yeah,
out, and then something
yeah,
happens that doesn't
yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah. And let me tell you something. This is also something very important that the audience know. One of the terrible things that happen when you're going through a situation like that is that expectations. Because many times you get information that, no, you're going to get released, and doesn't happen. And so it's like a roller coaster. You're going up and down, up and
Yeah.
down, up and down. So when it happened, normally it surprises you. It's like, oh, it's happening. What was the moment? Talk a little bit the moment that you knew, oh, that now it's happening. What was happening there? It's
Well,
interesting.
to tell you the truth, here's kind of I knew I was probably leaving when they forced me to sign something saying I was never tortured, my human rights were never violated, and they treated me like a VIP. That was I knew things were
You were
probably
in
going to go
Narnia.
my
You
way.
were living in Narnia.
So yeah, I was like, okay. But I even the funny thing is I even told Jonathan right then and there, I was like, is this not duress? Like, do you see? Like, even with you guys here, I'm being forced to sign this, whether I want to or not. And so, but I complied just to get the heck out of there, of course.
Well,
Um,
you look at in our case, what happened exactly when we were released, they put us in a place, there was a cameras, people filming, and they asked us to film. No, we are happy, everything is happy, we're in Narnia. And then we was given the script, and we had to repeat it like 4 times. No, no,
oh,
no, you forget to say this. No, no, you
oh
had to
my
say
God.
this. And we were like, everybody was happy. And it's incredible that, but
Yeah.
you want to go out. So
Yeah.
now you're out. You're now in American soil. What happened after? Who?
Um,
How was that moment?
Oh my gosh. So when I got off the plane, my mom and my sister were there and we were hugging them on the runway for probably 30 minutes. They finally had to, okay, we have to move, like they had to move the plane. We didn't care. We were just hugging for like a half hour. And so yeah, finally they, like, okay, we have another area over here. And so finally we started walking sideways, still hugging and all that. And we
Where
finally
did
made it.
did you land it? Where did you land?
Oh, it was Sacramento. I believe it was the executive airport, not SMF. That's kind of like the public one, but they have an executive airport for the ones that own a plane, and that's where we landed.
Well, we landed here in Army Brook because we went to the PISA program that they do there. That is incredible. But now we're gonna talk about the PTSD, all this stuff. But so now you're here, and the people think that it's a love story that is ended, and it's the beginning of the new life, because you're coming like in a time machine, correct?
Oh
Like
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's another is that when I finally got to Sacramento, they would take me around and I couldn't recognize anything because it'd been almost 20 years. And it was funny, when I was in the Navy, I'd be gone for a year or two and I couldn't believe how much had changed. And I was like, stop, wait, what happened with the Taco Bell over here? What happened with this? And this time it was just so different. I didn't even know where to start. I thought I didn't even know if I was in the same place, It looked like I'm an alien or something.
You have the sense that you came in a time machine. I always say that I came in a time machine because I living in an area that when I moved here was farms, and this stuff. It was beginning
Yeah.
the development, and when I came back, everything was done, and where are you living? I didn't
Yeah.
recognize that. So now you're here, and beginning the, your new life, doesn't knowing what to do with your life, and beginning to have PTSD events. Talk a little bit about that, the trauma, the PTSD.
Okay, so for me, I would hear people calling my name and there was nobody there. Once in a while I would have flashbacks and I also I didn't like going in crowded places, crowded spaces because I was in isolation for so long that, we almost just prefer to be in or for me anyway, I preferred to be in almost isolation. So it's kind of hard to be around. Family was okay, but if it's too many people, I just didn't even like it.
Correct.
And
Did you have
so
opportunity to get in contact with one of these foundations like Hostage US or Foley Foundation, one of these foundations or not?
not really. Once I got back, I just thought, oh, okay, well, that was my old life, and now I'm just going to move on with my new life. I didn't think.
But because
Um,
this is something that now that we have the opportunity to talk, I know people that have gone through this situation that have done the same. For example, I remember this guy that was in Rwanda, Paul Rusesabagina, that we are friends. When he came back, he didn't want to do nothing. And I talked with him. I had the opportunity to talk with him and said, Paul, there's a trauma recovery center that is pro bono happy. Go to it. Go to it.
yeah,
Take it.
yeah,
Because one of the things that people sometimes doesn't really think is that sometimes you need help.
yeah. Oh,
Sometimes you
yeah,
need help, and
yeah,
you have to be honest that sometimes you need help because it's a process that is too long. Something is
yeah.
too long. So now you're here going back to normal. So when is you begin to think to be a speaker, and how all the story came to you?
Well, so I, getting back, I just wanted to get a job and get back to work. I kind of didn't want to think about all that, and from a friend of a friend, I kind of got put in touch with one guy named Sergeant Dutton, and
Mhm.
he kind of coached me a little bit on, you have a powerful story, and people would be inspired to hear your story, and maybe you could help somebody who might be close to ending their life or something, and
Mhm. Mhm.
and if you share that story, maybe you'll be the guy that prevents them from doing it.
Yeah.
And so once I started thinking that way, it kind of changed my perspective and my thought process as don't take it as, I mean, we did survive hell, but look at the bright side of now we can go on and help other people that are going through their dark time and maybe show them there is a way, and be an inspiration instead of just. I
Because you
never
have
considered
now a
myself a
testimony.
victim.
You have now a
Yeah,
testimony that you
yeah,
can share.
yeah.
And what about because okay, that's great. That's great when you and I totally agree with that because that's what I'm doing today too. So now you want to share your testimony. So what happened? Did you get in contact with somebody? How was your process?
Well, I mean, you were one of the people I got in contact with, and like I said, kind of we talked through the same network and yeah, just finding the right coaches, implementing the right strategies and just trying to build the business.
Okay,
And I'm working on, I think I told you I'm working on the book, hoping that should be out by December.
okay,
That's, 21 lessons from hell.
okay,
And
okay.
yeah.
Now you're talking about your book because of course that you definitely are a resilient guy. Because let me tell you, James, not everybody has the capacity that have that confinement so long and be here talking like you're talking. Because I saw people going crazy, nuts, nuts, or even committed suicide. So what do you think in your process, in your mind? What is the thing that you can share to others that you really survive? What did you apply in your life that you can say to others, I did this, I did that, and you can do it to survive?
Well,
What would be
I
your
think for
recommendation?
Yeah, I think for me, the secret sauce, if you want to call it that, was kind of a mind, body, and soul, and for the mind, you got to have books and and the Bible's a good book, but sometimes you need another book besides the Bible.
Mhm.
For the body, try to work out, try to take care of your health the best you can. And then spirit, you got to have believe in something, you got to believe in something bigger in yourself.
Mhm.
And then also try to find your purpose, because that's the other. When I have a purpose, I always have a better way. And when I don't have a purpose, then yeah, I'm like, I'm lost
Well,
at sea. It's not a good thing.
you crafted very beautiful, because I always say exactly that, because we are a spirit that has a soul that is in a body. So you are body, soul, and spirit, and taking care of the three things are very important. But you need to find your purpose. I remember going back also to Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, in his book, he mentioned that the people that survived in the World War II were those guys that had a purpose. They found a purpose why they needed to come back. So, what was your purpose?
I wanted to see my mom above all, go see my mom, give my mom a hug, and she supported me through that whole turmoil. And I had to see her. Nothing else mattered.
So you keep going because of that. So now you're here thinking and to build your business, become a speaker. So where in which stage you are today?
Oh, I'm in California, Northern California, around Sacramento.
Okay, and what you have been doing to develop your business?
Well, kind of like I said, just the first step for me, I think, is to finish the book.
Okay,
But also I'm going on a speaker cruise. That's about the end of the month, towards the end of the month.
okay,
And I'm going to
okay.
be speaking, giving my signature speech and develop my speaking business. That's the other.
Okay, now we're talking about, because you have been crafting your speech. There is something that in all this process that is very important. Today, what do you think about the people that hurt you, that put you in that process? Have you think on them, or you have forgive them?
Well, for me, I'm a bit of a mixed. I think that the leaders need to do better to find out if a person is really guilty, and if
Mhm.
so, then then they should face the right consequences. But all the leaders need to do a better job at making sure the things are happening the right way, that people's rights aren't being violated. Um, that so I do believe firmly in that. When I was detained, there were 600 Americans being held, and probably 50% were innocent. But all of them, none of them were getting a trial. And
Wow.
I think even if you're a terrorist, if they arrest you, then you should have something. There should be some kind of due process.
Yeah.
If it's a battle, well, then if you die, then you die. That's that I mean that's part of the thing. But once they put handcuffs on you, then probably you need a trial. That would be my belief. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I don't want to. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
No, no, but well, it's matter of justice.
Yeah.
So, what is your concept today of freedom?
Well, oh boy, freedom. That's a tough one. I think I see it different now too. It seems like the way the world's changed since when we were locked up. Now you need a passport to go anywhere.
Mhm.
It's much more restrictive. Maybe it's necessary. I don't know. That's kind of above my pay grade, but I just want to be free to live my life the best way possible. Share my message with the people that need it, and try to be a beacon of light for the ones that are struggling.
Mhm.
And
And,
that's pretty
and
much it.
and today you carry something that not many people carry, that you have a testimony of what you went through, and really you can help others, because it's incredible when you go to a stage and you tell your story and the way you craft it, and you see the people, you can see smiling, you can see tears, the people get touched. So I it begins to be a blessing, my friend. If you take it in the right way, it begins to be a blessing. How you can be touching souls. In your book, when it's out, it will begin to touch soul, because you went through a process that not many people go to that process. And you are here, not only went through the process, you not only survive, you thrive. So talking about this, because uh, always the people, the question is how you made this, how you went through all this process and now you're here. Because when the people hear my story, and I believe that when you do it, it's the same thing, it blows the mind of the people. The people cannot understand how we made this, because they cannot imagine them being there. But I always say that the human being has an inner force that is beyond what you think, is beyond you, but you have to unleash it. Tell me a little bit about what are your thoughts about that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think most of the time, it's sort of like a workout. If you want to do 100 pull-ups, sometimes you get to 20 and you want to quit.
Mhm.
But if you do sets of 5, you can do 20 pull-ups or 100, but by the time you get to 20, you're going to want to quit. But you can do 100. You
Yeah,
just have to take a break, come back, try again, take a break, come back, try again. And you can do it in a day. And
yeah,
it's kind of the same. I think we're really capable, all of us, and I'm guilty of this as well. We're all capable of more than what we do on a daily basis. And we just got to train ourselves, kind of like I was talking about, mind, body, and soul, train ourselves to be able to survive the hardships and to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah,
That would
yeah.
be my advice.
I was talking this morning with a guy that has a TV show, and he was telling me that he's a Christian guy and he has done theological study, all this stuff. And he was telling me that one of the things that today he's a strong believer that is that if you want to be successful, you have to walk through the valley. So
Mhm.
that people have to walk through a valley. Because and let me tell you, that's so true. I'm beginning to find that there is always a pattern that people have to go to the valley, and in the valley is where they discover their force, their strength, and that's where they're going to do what they have to do. So how you see your valley today, and how you see that the next move that you want to do, what is your thoughts about that?
Okay, so well, right now I'm developing the business. So, but my goal is within a year to be, making 6 figures speaking and also doing more books. This is my first book, but I want to do at least 2 books. So
Have you ever
that's
thought to create a coaching program based on this?
no, I haven't. I probably should look at that.
Yeah, because you remember you have a something that nobody else has.
Hmm.
You went through a process in your life that you can really train others. Because I always tell the people, you don't have to be a victim of have gone through that situation, but when you are in prison, you acquire some abilities that are very difficult to the other people have, because many people can be prisoner of what they're going in their life.
Oh
Even
yeah.
in the if people that are having business, that the business doesn't move because they're prisoners of their belief, they're prisoners of their circumstance. So you have an ability that you can show to them. So think in a coaching, that can be
Okay.
also something
Yeah.
like, because being a speaker, you can from the stage you can sell your coaching program. So this
Mhm.
is something that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I recommend to you. So
Okay.
now, well, we have 10 minutes to finish this stuff. So where the people can find you, the people that are hearing this, to you say, hey, I would like to contact that guy. How they can find you?
Well, probably on Instagram, and also I can share my email for all the other stuff would be jamesmindset7 at Gmail.
Okay, okay. Have you thought to create your webpage?
Yes, and I'm in the process of building it, but honestly I want to have my book done and then I'll have my website.
Okay, so you're focusing your book. Your book is gonna be self-published, or you're working with a publisher?
Kind of like a hybrid. I think you did a hybrid as well.
Okay, yeah, I did a hybrid. I did a hybrid, and I did. By the way, I did first my book in English. That is this.
Hmm.
The,
That's
when I
you're
did this,
yeah.
what was with a publisher. I went with a
Okay.
publisher and a hybrid. When I did this, I was more like myself with a publisher, but it was kind of a very controlled. When I did this, that is the last one that I had. I did it by my own. I did it by my
Okay.
own. This,
Okay.
this. So at some point you get some expertise. No? And this is like a trial and error.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
okay, so that people can find you in Instagram. I'm gonna put the links there. The Instagram, your email, and
Yeah.
your book is gonna be out in December, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, in December. I'm gonna be in Amazon, like other places.
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon, and I don't know anything else right now, but I know at least on Amazon. And I do want to have a hardcover also, but some people just want the PDF or the digital. That's fine too.
Something that I recommend to the people now that we're talking about books, that to tell you the truth, these are things that have been learned. People tend to do the hard copy, the paperback, and then you do the Kindle. But the really book that are getting very popular are the audiobooks. I have a friend that she was telling me that the audiobooks are getting really, really popular. So
Okay.
so I'm thinking to begin to put this in audiobook now. So
Yeah, yeah.
so but it has to be a process. It has to be a process.
Oh, yeah.
So James, now you're thinking to be a speaker. Now you're gonna go to a cruise. You're gonna do your book. You're trying to attend podcasts. And so how have you think to be your brand? How is you see your brand? How you want to craft your brand? What you want the people when they see you, what you want them to see in you?
Well, actually, I think I'm trying to do the story I told you about the too stupid to quit, you know?
Okay, okay. That's a great
Sometimes you just
story.
got to be
That's a great
you just got to
story.
be hard-headed enough to keep pounding the wall even when it doesn't break.
And the other one is the donkey story. That's a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
Very great story. So we're almost coming to the end, James. So what will be a final recommendation that in a 5 minutes frame, what will be the final recommendation that people that are hearing this that you can tell them what was your lesson learned during all that process? What you will talk to them, somebody that's going to a hardship, going in a bad moment. What will be your recommendation?
Never give up. Sometimes you don't see the light right then and there, and sometimes it seems impossible, and like you're never gonna win. And that's another is that for 14 years, it was how many thousand days did I get it wrong? Every day I had a mission to how I'm going to get out of here. All of those I failed, but one of them I got right. But it only took the one that I got right for it to be a success. The other failures didn't matter at that point. So
Well, let
just
me tell
never
you,
give up.
those failure are lessons to do it better the next time. And
Absolutely.
what James is saying is something that I always say, that when you really have your purpose, and his purpose was coming back for his mom. So no matter how many times you fail and fall, you will stand up and will continue and continue and continue and continue until this happened. It took for him 13 years, but he's back. So the people that are here, and for me, it took me 5 years, and I'm back. So we really, my friends, we are survivors, but we are warriors.
Yes,
And,
sir.
and, and, and this is something that the world needs to know more, because there's so many people depressed there in the youth. There's so many kids thinking in suicide because of somebody didn't give like in the social media, or my girlfriend left me, for stupid reasons. So
Yes.
now we can stand up and tell them, hey, stop. I could make it. You can make it.
Yes.
So what will be your recommendation in that
to
stage?
to just maybe change their thinking. And like you say, sometimes it's kind of like the first breakup you have with a girlfriend when I was in high school. I mean, I thought I was devastated. I didn't know if I could continue living. But nowadays, I don't even remember my first girlfriend. You know what I mean? And like in 20 years, it's not going to matter. So yeah, and even if you fail, get up and try again.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would be my main takeaway.
yeah. Well, James, this was an incredible show. So the audience that are hearing this, I have a big takeaway in all of this. He had a dream to come back. He stays stick to that. he never lost that. He was, no matter what was going, he pursued and he could come back. And he's now here trying to pass to a new stage. He wants to be a motivational speaker, and his book out. And you have to think even to be a coach.
Yeah.
If you have enough, I encourage you to do it.
Okay. Okay.
So, James, this has been incredible. Thank you for having here.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you.
The audience is going to hear. The people that are hearing this today, get connected with him. I'm going to put there his link. If this message resonates with you and you are thinking that he could be a good speaker for any of your event, contact James. If you want, you can contact me. I can contact him. I don't have no problem. And because we are today part of a community that is a kind of a bizarre community, but we need to help each other. And there's a project behind there that we're trying to put together, that we have been talking, that maybe in the future we will see doing things to that community. I have here the flag of the wrongful detention, that for me is a representation of this community. People that have gone through this adversity, but the people are walking their way there. They try to rebuild their life. So, well, thank you for being here, James.
No, thank you, Jose. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Next week, we have another awesome guest. Okay? Bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye.